I've never found that trying to write for a particular genre in music is very effective in writing authentic songs. Now, it's true that different genres or styles of music have tendencies that define what makes them tick and how they sound. But as writers, we want to begin to explore what we contribute to the style that is unique, because genre classification just really tells us what is common amongst all the songs that are grouped within that style, and doesn't tell us what's unique about any particular artist within that style. So the reason why we talk about tendencies that occur between a particular style of music is not to say you should be an imitation of this style. It's to say, look and see where your natural leanings might fall within different styles of music, and then begin to explore how combining these natural leanings that you have towards different styles of music might contribute to a unique constellation for you that makes you stand out. And frankly, it's just really nice to be able to understand who we are as artists and where we fall within the styling of our preferences and our listening audience. So come with me as we talk about what makes commercial pop pop. Commercial songwriting often gets a bad rap. It's sort of the rom-com of songwriting expression. I think the word commercial, though, is consistent among many genres that we listen to, and that's what sort of wraps together all of the tools that make that genre easy to digest and very accessible to the masses. Now, a lot of those techniques of making something commercial are going to be typical amongst all genres. However, there are some subtle and not so subtle differences between commercial pop, commercial country, singer-songwriter, or more lyrical pop that we can distinctly see are elements of that particular artist's expression. So when you're looking at your own songs, you might recognize what is commercial about this, and then what becomes my own sort of fingerprint on the song that I can emphasize as I continue to write. Now, there are 5 tendencies that make commercial pop pop, and the first one is melody is king. Now, it's true that other genres also emphasize melody, but in pop, I think the question is, if you were to take away the melody of any one section in the pop song, is the song going to significantly lose value? And the answer for many commercial pop songs is yes. It is the leading edge of the song. And so, what makes a melody great within commercial pop? Well, it has to be simple and memorable. It has to work well with the chord progression underneath. It often is a vehicle for delivering lyric, but not too much lyric. So the lyric in commercial pop can be fairly minimal or fairly lightweight, which means it's not heavy in imagery, and it's memorable in the sense that we don't have to think too hard. It doesn't sway intellectual to be able to take it in. So the melody is always the highlight of the song. It's never in service of the lyric. So melody makes decisions also for the lyric, in that the lyric is going to remain a little bit lightweight, or even sometimes be misstressed in order to favor the value of the melody. And an example of this would be Katy Perry's song Unconditional, where it's actually stressed as I can't even say it, unconditionally. It's hard to say because it's not conforming to the proper stress pattern of the words, but they went with the melody anyway. Now, this is a pretty extreme example, but we'll find examples in commercial pop where we can tell as if the lyric was just an afterthought, or they just left it because the melody was more important. Now, another tendency of commercial pop is that the melody is repeatable and recyclable. And what this means is that when we get a theme, we tend to hear exact repetition of that theme. We don't hear variation, especially early on in the song. The singer won't really interpret the melody until later. When you hear songwriters and artists who are interpreting the song through their vocal expression, it tends to be more lyrical pop or singer-songwriter rather than commercial pop. Now, to repeat and then recycle means that sometimes the melody is going to use bits and pieces of an initial theme and bring those back later on. A good example might be Ed Sheeran's Shape of You, where the chorus dedicates one line's melody to the lines that come after it. So it goes like, and I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do, right? Instead of saying like a magnet does, he just grabs the rhyme with you and do, and he has exact repetition because it's good for the melody. Now the third line is, although my heart is falling too. So we get another rhyme and exact repetition of the melody until I'm in love with your body closes down the section. So exact repetition. Now you might notice in the verse sections of the song, and I won't sing this, but there's repetition of a different theme. Now that variation or change between sections leads me to another tendency of commercial pop, and that is balance. Max Martin talks about balance in the sense that in between any two sections of a song that you write, like a verse and a chorus, you will have a change in the melody. So much so that you could sort of consider them opposites. You might have a salty verse followed by a sweet chorus. But what do those adjectives mean? Well, they describe the sense that the verse might have short notes with close together in the scale, so they're kind of clustered, but there's kind of this da-da-da-da-da-da feeling. It's very rhythmic. But in the chorus, if you do that again, it's going to be quite similar to what you did in the verse, and it won't refresh the melody. And so what we get in the chorus is a different technique, which might be more contoured to the melody, so a wider range of pitches, and it might not be so rhythmic. It might be longer notes, something that we can sing. So this balance is important to causing movement in the commercial pop song. And commercial pop songs are nothing if not easy to learn and super catchy. And that catchiness comes from distinct melodic motifs for each section, but also different melodic motifs that keep the forward movement of the song going at a good clip. Now, the next tendency of commercial pop is that we tend to hit the chorus pretty early in the song, like 50 seconds in. And I think the reason for this is that many times with this much repetition of just a few melodic ideas in each section, we tend to exhaust those ideas at about the same time in any commercial pop format. So getting to the chorus right around 50 seconds is a pretty reasonable expectation when you only can give the listener a certain number of repeated ideas. Now, the idea of a lot of repetition is not unique to commercial pop. It's used all across forms of communication when we really want a listener to understand something clearly and also feel the potency of an idea. We use repetition. For example, if I could reach the stars, pull one down for you, and then it goes on to da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. So we get the same melody transposed up. And so this idea is a little bit more complex than we sometimes see in commercial pop, but it's due to harmonic growth that we don't often see. So this is an element of commercial pop that doesn't occur as frequently because I think this kind of a tool is designed more by way of harmonics leading the song, the chord progression being more of a leading edge, where if you remember in commercial pop, it's less about interesting or explorative movement with the harmony, more about melody is the king of this experience. Now, songwriters within the pop realm that don't hit the chorus by 50 seconds, and I'm thinking of people like Sarah Bareilles. She'll write a very long verse followed by quite a long pre-chorus and finally get to the chorus. Now, these writers would fall into the pop genre, but it would be a little more along the lines of lyrical pop or a singer-songwriter, where the choices that they're making melodically and with song form have more to do with what the lyric and the lyric story needs, rather than really thinking singularly about what does the melody need to be for this song. Now, the last characteristic or tendency of commercial pop are the themes and the characters. These songs are generally written within a first-person point of view so that the singer is feeling and expressing their own truth, their own personal truth, or the song is written with a direct you. So when you is the feeling here. It provides a mass connection where we feel like the singer is singing to us as the audience member. And it's our own personal story. So this is a really good point of view to try if you're interested in seeing what qualities of commercial pop could work for your own songs. A good example of this, again, I'm going to use Katy Perry. Have you ever felt like a paper bag? Have you ever? So this idea that she's speaking directly to me and I'm like, yes, Katy Perry, I have. You understand me. It's this feeling of connecting. And so popular song has this ability to help us feel seen and heard, especially if we fall into that more youthful category at that time in our lives. Now, I appreciate this element of commercial pop in that it's a great way to share our personal story. However, when the lyric becomes more dominant in the songwriting experience, we tend to find these songs are more singer-songwriter or lyrical pop in nature, like Taylor Swift or even Jason Isbell. This kind of writing can also veer into a more mature audience because the feelings, the emotions that are being described can be a bit more multidimensional. Where pop is sort of singular or binary in nature, the expressiveness of a adult contemporary or singer-songwriter type artist might lean a little more towards holding multiple perspectives in the song. And so in this way, we find that commercial pop is very simple or goes on assumption in its themes. And what I mean by that is the character will write about being in love or being hurt or being the victim or being angry. And it doesn't usually then encompass a wider range of emotion or multiple emotions at the same time. For this, we look to more lyrical pop or singer-songwriter styles. When you're writing, you can reference these tendencies to see if they make it into your own writing in some way. Ultimately, commercial pop has got to tick off all of these boxes in order to really fit into that genre well. When you're writing, though, you might recognize that to shove yourself into these commercial pop pants is a bad idea because you're going to feel inauthentic. So be aware of how these tools or tendencies exist within commercial pop, but also embrace the idea that your music might not totally fit into these commercial pop pants. Don't force it, because what you're trying to do with your music is not to suit a marketplace, but to express yourself in the most authentic way possible for you. So take these characteristics as cues that identify with a commercial pop style, keep the ones you love, and discard the ones that just don't feel like they're working for you. Check out my other videos around style and the characteristics that define them, and I hope it's useful to you in understanding more about your own music and feeling empowered to do the things that feel like they make your songs stronger. I know what it's like to struggle with this songwriting process where you can't put it down and you can't finish it either. That's why I've created the 30-Day Songwriter. 30-Day Songwriter is a course to help you unleash your creativity, level up your craft, and enjoy the process again or for the first time. Bring your EP that you really want to finish and release to the world, or maybe bring up some of those unfinished songs that have been lying around for decades, and aim to finish them within this course. Click the link to join and get started today.